The phone call ends and you are left staring at the wall in stunned silence. It has been brought to your attention that your daughter was just hit by a drunk driver and as a result, has passed due to the injury sustained. The news hits home for a different reason than you would expect, though. You actually feel something inside of you, where there are normally no feelings. It's as though all of a sudden your lifetime practice of nihilism is completely moot. As you ponder this revelation, other feelings begin to arise in you, the physical reactions being so unpleasant that you consciously force yourself to go do something else. As you cross the bridge you take every day on the way to work, you take note of that one of the guardrail posts is absent, weakening the railing's integrity just enough that if someone were to hit it with their car, the forward momentum would carry them over the side and into the river. You stare intently at it, beginning to gradually drift towards the point of impact. The longer you stare at it, the more you feel the stirrings of feelings within you. You are caught off guard and correct, feeling mild surprise that you deviated from the true calling of your ice-cold, watery grave. For some reason, the strongest feeling stirred up is determination. Although you feel that there is absolutely no meaning in life whatsoever, you begin to experience the opposite. There are things you haven't accomplished yet that you would regret not doing. You're still confused as you walk along the street to your office building. You look up and see a comforting sight on the 15th floor balcony. Someone is standing on the edge, ready to jump. That's the kind of person to model your life after, you think. Just as the person grips the railing behind them and raises one foot, a gunshot echoes and the man loses his grip and begins the freefall. Suddenly, your perception changes as you move closer to the building behind a planter as to not be splattered with blood from the splat. It all had to do with the hesitation of the person before they would jump. People that feel life has no meaning are ready to go don't usually hesitate that much, and then there's the gunshot. Why was this person shot? You're grateful in a way for the distraction from the slight feelings that life may very well have meaning. You stumble out of the local watering hole with no feelings except for the lack of equilibrium combined with the numbness that accompanies intoxication. You eventually arrive home and stumble for the door, and as you unlock it, you look to the neighboring property and see the large hole in the ground with fresh concrete foundation walls within. You rationalize that there would likely be rebar in the ground for the footings, which haven't been poured yet, and think that a precise landing on one piece will end this meaningless existence. You automatically take a step as you turn to walk towards the hole, and then you blink and instead open the front door and walk inside. You come out of the trance as the door clicks shut behind you. The feelings of a purpose have overridden the desire for a logical end to things. Now you are getting frustrated. A funny thought, since most people become frustrated when they can find no meaning to life. But here you are, frustrated that you now see meaning and don't want to see, despite all of the answers already in your mind. Sitting on the couch with the evening news on, a report catches your attention and you turn the volume up. The report is concerning the murder, attempted suicide near your office building earlier that day. It turns out that the victim was the drunk driver that killed your daughter, and apparently your daughter wasn't the only one he had done this to. Apparently later on the night he hit your daughter, he had fled the scene, and in doing so, hit a woman crossing the street. The only detail that the police would release is that the husband of the deceased found out who was responsible and decided to take matters into his own hands. A shiver runs through you as the feeling of vindication courses through your veins, and some insane thing begins to happen. Despite nothing having any meaning to you, even your own daughter, you begin to cry with relief. This is so unlike you, and the tears stop as you realize that there could even exist the possibility of life mattering. You toss and turn for a few hours before you eventually fall asleep, only to sit bolt upright an hour later. Sleep won't come for the rest of the night, and by the time the first few rays of sunlight peek over the horizon, your eyes are bloodshot. When the alarm goes off, you slowly go into the bathroom and look in the mirror. There's a sheen of wetness below your baggy, bloodshot eyes, and you refuse to believe that you were crying over the loss of your daughter. Shrugging as you angrily dry your face, you turn on the shower and step inside, all of the tension inside you melting away as the hot water bounces off your skin. You skip breakfast and instead sit at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee dosed with a liberal amount of sweet and low. The contemplations of meaning in life and finding your purpose arose just after you finished showering, and you have no appetite as a result. After sipping the coffee, a few droplets splash onto the table and you suddenly snap. You hurl the coffee across the room and begin screaming. Once the fit is over, you look at the wall where the cup made contact and heave a sigh. Rising on legs that closely resemble jelly, you make your way into the kitchen for the paper towels. Once you've cleaned up the mess, you know that you still need to repair the hole in the drywall. You arrive at the hardware store and purchase the necessary supplies, and then rather than driving to work, you call in sick and drive home, then busy yourself with the minor repair. You smile as you stand back and admire your handiwork, dusting your hands with the feeling of a job well done. Something clicks inside of you, and rather than avoiding the feeling, you decide to embrace it this time. You're deep in thought as you walk to the window facing the neighbors and see that the construction crew is back on site, beginning to frame in the bare bones of the new home. It then hits you at that moment. The only possible meaning that could come from life is to accomplish something that the world would know about. Sitting back at the kitchen table, the notepad in front of you has various notes jotted down, most of them crossed off. Your stomach rumbles, and then you go to the fridge and root around until you lay eyes on some leftover pizza. It seems satisfactory, and you close the fridge and microwave the few slices of pizza. Once you've eaten, you sit at the table with a renewed sense of creativity, but you can't figure out where to go from here. You review what you have written so far, and the third remaining thing pops out. You tear the page you were writing on off the pad and start a new one. Once you finish, you have a clear idea of what you'll do. Step 1. Liquidate your assets and make a donation to MAD. Step 2. Write an essay and submit it to every local paper in town, with the request to print it as soon as possible. Step 3. Mail a letter to the family of the drunk driver admonishing him, but also expressing sympathy for their loss. And finally, Step 4. A blank line. You go about completing the tasks, and when you're through, you get in your car and begin the drive downtown. The security guard of your building gives you a nod, with a slight confused glance at the medium-sized duffel bag on your shoulder. It is around the time of day when there are a lot of people out on the street, and you have a way to get their attention. Once you leave the elevator on the 16th floor, you walk with purpose to your office, where there is a large window facing the main street out front. Without hesitation, you pick up your computer monitor and heave it at the window, causing a large fissure to form, but not fully breaking it. You drop the duffel bag on the desk and open it, locating a hammer and a megaphone. You spend 5 minutes carefully breaking the window, as to not cause any serious injury to the people down below from falling debris. You pick up the megaphone and take a deep breath as you go to the gaping hole where the window once was. Attention? May I have your attention? Drunk driving kills many people, and you may not care until it happens to you. I've never cared about anything for all of my life until now. Whoever's standing below, please kindly step back a few paces unless you want to be spattered with blood. When you finish, you set the megaphone down and step out of the window. As the wind rushes through your hair, an immense sense of calm envelops you, and you smile, knowing that you've fulfilled your purpose in life.